practicing to beat somebody. We're practicing to beat everybody.
My expectation is we go out and dominate and create a nightmare and make people never want to play you again.
If you are a fan of another team and your coach is not out there doing everything that Kirby Smart is doing right now, you are already losing. You feel however you want to feel about that.
Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide for 4 quarters. They got to see us in our house for 4 quarters. They got to look us in the eye for 4. This is about us and our family and our house. This is about us. This is our mentality. We ain't backing down. We ain't running. Set a tone, send a message. This is our house. Physical toughness wins in football now. And if you in this room, you got it. If you come in here, you better believe in it. Because this physical toughness, it's what makes the difference. Elite focus. That's all I'm doing to the guy across from me. I'm fixing to whip his ass. Not in my box, not today. It's about us. It's about our family. We attack. You take that helmet and you strike them. And you strike them and you strike them. That's how you get respect.
Physically, I want to break them.
It's that time of year where it's time. You have to keep the main thing the main thing. And that's what we're going to do tonight on this edition of How About That DawgsCast. There are 3 things that you should be worried about as a Georgia Bulldogs fan, and there are 3 things that you shouldn't be. And tonight, we're going to walk our way right through all of that. So like I said, nothing has changed. Georgia is still in the middle of the college football playoff. It's just that everybody else is now coming on board and telling us exactly who, what, and where we are in relation to that thing. And this Tuesday, the CFP did their thing and told us that, well, the Dogs are the number 10 team in the country. Now, that's kind of funny in some ways, sad, disappointing, ridiculous, and hilarious in other ways. And all you had to do was jump on Twitter and you would see that other people seem to feel the same way. According to Out of Control, with the newest college football playoff rankings, Georgia, number 10, has as many top 25 wins as number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 combined. Top 15 wins as number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 combined. Top 10 wins as numbers 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 combined. Number 3, Texas. Number 5, Indiana. Number 8, Miami. All have 0 ranked wins. And Penn State, they've only beaten a team that was ranked number 25. Others had opinions. CFP committee. Bama is good because they beat Georgia. Ole Miss is good because they beat Georgia. Texas is good because they have a quality loss to Georgia. Also the CFP committee. Georgia, who has beaten Clemson, Texas, and Tennessee, and has the number 1 strength of schedule in the country, nah, they're nothing that special. Kind of ridiculous. But that's one of the things we're going to talk about this week. We can talk about it and have a little fun with it. Because the truth is, right now, none of it matters anyway, right? The last one's the only one that really matters. But our good friend Chris Marler, he posted this today. Today or yesterday? I guess it was yesterday when the rankings came out. Playoff resumes. You can look at the screen and see it. You can see winning percentages. You can see strength of schedule rank. You can see wins against top 10 teams. You can make up your own mind about who you think deserves to be where as far as all this stuff is concerned. But like I said, none of it really matters right now. And that leads me right down the road of where we're going. The only thing that's important right now, not the only thing, the thing that's most important right now for the Georgia Bulldogs is the fact that they are going to have another game on Saturday. Number 11 out of 12 scheduled on the regular season slate. This week, it's UMASS. The Minutemen are going to come between the hedges for a paycheck game. And then the Dogs are going to finish up against Georgia Tech before the committees have their say following championship weekend. Now, like I said, this is the most important thing right now. The Dogs need to prepare this week, go out, handle their business against UMass, show everybody that what they did against Tennessee on Saturday night is where they're headed. That's what they're going to be moving forward. That's what we all want to see as Georgia Bulldog fans. Frankly, I think that's what a large part of the college football world wants to see, because it's been weird all year that Georgia, for whatever reason, and we've listed the reasons over the season, but for whatever reason, hasn't been the version of Georgia that everybody thought they were going to be from day one and then maintain that status throughout the course of the season. It's funny because on one hand, you hear people say there's so much parity in college football right now. I love the fact that anybody can beat anybody. Why is that the case? Some days I argue back and forth whether or not it actually is. Today I'm on the side, okay, there's parity in college football more than we can remember in recent years. Why? Well, then it has to be because of things like the transfer portal, the things like NIL, which influences movement in the transfer portal. So those same people, half the time, are arguing that NIL and the transfer portal are ruining the game. Yet, when it fits the narrative that there's more parity in college football, and that's exactly what they want to see, well, then they're on the other side of the fence. When you look at college football as a whole, people generally fall into one of those two pools, and then they jump back and forth between them. But it's hard to get a read as a Georgia football fan whether people are excited that Georgia seems to be finding their footing, ramping things up here at the end of the season as we get towards money time, right? When we get towards the playoff, when we get towards deciding who the champion's going to be. Some people, it feels, are excited about that because they're like, yes, I love seeing the biggest brands, the teams I know that are going to show up and create good games. I love seeing them playing their best football at this time of year. Then there's a whole other group that is, I don't know if I want to go out on a limb and just say they're scared. It's terrifying to them that Georgia is among the teams in the country that are finding their footing and ramping things up. There are others. Look at Alabama. Right here inside the conference, that's a team that seems to be on the upswing here at the end of the year as they seem to have finally figured out how to let their pieces be the pieces that they should be to be successful. There's a whole large group of college football that's like, I don't want that. They're throwing around words like fraud, and Georgia doesn't play anybody, or not Georgia, but the SEC doesn't play anybody. The SEC's down this year because everybody has multiple losses, it seems. You can't have it both ways. Those people are fine with the CFP rankings the way they are right now because, and it's generally the Big Ten, those people are seeing the Big Ten teams up at the top of the standings. Clear SEC bias, by the way, so far in the CFP rankings. You guys can see it, right? You can see it. That top 3, 4, 5 teams loaded with SEC squads. Yeah. So those folks, they don't want Georgia, Alabama. They don't want Ole Miss. They don't want any of these Southeastern Conference teams playing their best ball here at the end because they're looking around and going, we're all in good position right now. We got a shot. We can win this thing. No, the SEC doesn't deserve 4 or 5 in the tournament. No, absolutely not. No. Let's keep these other schools in there. The schools that haven't beaten top-ranked teams, the schools that haven't played a schedule against ranked competition, the schools. Well, you get what I'm saying. But I say all that just to sort of go on a rant and let you know that college football is just as weird and wild and crazy as it ever is. And this year is a year, in many ways, unlike any other. The main way is that there is, in fact, a 12-team playoff out there in front of us. But the things that the Dogs have to do is take care of the business that's in front of them. And this week, that is the UMASS Minutemen. Now, like I said, there are things that you should actually be worried about as a Georgia Bulldog fan, and there are things that you shouldn't be. Let's go ahead and get into those. Injuries. If you're going to worry about anything right now as a Georgia Bulldog fan, it should be the injuries. Injuries, whether dog fans, whether Georgia haters, whether anybody who's looking into the college football world as a whole wants to admit it, injuries are a solid through line for the University of Georgia this season. Now, does that mean that it's an excuse for them losing any of the games that they have lost this year? No, it's not. But it has been a large part of the reason that the Dogs have not looked like the team that they looked like in the second half against Clemson to open the year. It's a large reason they have not been as consistent on the offensive side of the football. It's a large reason that they, although they have been really good, have not been quite as good as maybe some people thought they were going to be on the defensive side of the football. Just look at Saturday. Dylan Bell, thankfully, reports are that he doesn't have a high ankle sprain, that his ankle is stable, but you see he finished the night in a walking boot. Injuries are a part of the game and they happen every week. And Georgia still has 2 big games on their schedule. Now, if Georgia can chalk this thing out, beat UMass, turn around and beat Georgia Tech, then they should find themselves right there in the college football playoff, which is where everyone penciled them in to begin with. But injuries happen. And the thing you don't want to have happen is that you lose one of your key components as you try to ramp the engine up and move into the playoff, right? Georgia just got Tate Ratledge back. They're currently without their top 2 running backs. Now they're down a wide receiver. There is always the opportunity that you're going to have moving parts, moving pieces in and out of the lineup in college football. It's just the way of the game. So if you're going to worry about anything, as far as Georgia's concerned, over the next 2 weeks, as we head into championship weekend and then hopefully an appearance in the college football playoff, it should be whether these guys are healing up and getting ready to play their best football when their best football is required. Trevor Etienne, rib injury, tricky. Branson Robinson making his way back. Anthony Evans was back on the field on Saturday for the Dogs after missing some time. Cash Jones gutted it out. He was out there too. Tate Ratledge back on the field. Micah Morris and Ernest Green were not. Dylan Bell lost in the game. So you can see what I'm saying. Let's just hope that over the next couple of weeks, the Dogs can get through UMass and Georgia Tech without any major injuries, and that all the people that are a little dinged up right now continue to improve so that they'll be ready to go once the Dogs make their appearance in the college football playoff, which right now appears to be something that can happen. Something else that you should be worried about is playing so many freshmen. But I don't mean you should be worried about it in that freshmen are having to play. Yes, there are instances when playing freshmen is not necessarily the best thing for your team. But at Georgia, that mantra of we recruit players, we develop them, and we get them ready to go is a real thing. And I sat in this chair over the course of the summer and the early part of the season, and I said these young players are going to grow and develop, and by the time we get to the back third of the year, they're going to be depended on to help Georgia because Kirby Smart is playing the long game. He's trying to build depth, quality depth. And what do I mean by quality depth? Depth with players that can play winning football. So if you're concerned about anything right here, if you're worried, don't be worried that there are freshmen on the field. And by the way, there were like 8 or 9 that played a lot of meaningful snaps against Tennessee on Saturday night. Don't be worried that they're on the field. Understand that they're freshmen and they might make a mistake here or there. That is part of their learning curve, but don't be worried about it. What you should be worried about is if they aren't ready to go. That should be the thing that should concern you. As long as they're showing up to practice, they're healthy, they're learning, they're growing, don't worry. But worry if you see that they aren't showing up in the final snap counts. If they're showing up in the final snap counts, then everything is going to plan according to Kirby Smart. Because you are building that depth, you are building for the future, you are developing these young 4- and 5-star players in many cases, so that if they are pressed into duty for an extended period of time this year, during this final couple games of the season or the playoff run, they are going to have experience to get that job done. Quality depth. So that's what we need to be worried about. Again, you want to worry if they don't show up. Playing freshmen is a good thing. We'll just have to see how it shakes out about who can get back in there. Another thing that you should be worried about if you are a Georgia Bulldog fan right now as we finish out this year, Georgia Tech. I know there's your opportunity to giggle, but I'm telling you, I'm old enough to have seen Georgia Tech come between the hedges and really stick a knife into Georgia's bowl hopes, playoff game hopes, all those sorts of things. You do not want to lose to Georgia Tech, ever. I've made no bones about it. Georgia's three biggest rivals are, in order, the University of Florida, the Auburn Tigers, and then Georgia Tech. Now, the older Georgia fans, they're going to tell you that I'm wrong and that Tech is the number one rival. And I totally get it. Totally get it. Because when you lose to Georgia Tech, it absolutely makes for a miserable year here in the state of Georgia. Because you shouldn't. This Georgia team should not lose to this Georgia Tech team. I am not sitting here and telling you that they are going to lose to Tech. I'm telling you that that is a dangerous game and that this team with this guy and their head coach, they don't like Georgia. Clean old-fashioned hate is a real thing right now between Georgia and Georgia Tech. And last year, Tech played Georgia for all they're worth. Georgia was the better team, but that game, yeah, it was not a walkover. Had a lot of people nervous. I personally never felt that Georgia was in danger of losing the game last year. But if you mess around with Haynes King, with that running game that they have, and their new head coach, Key, they are good enough to beat Georgia. And that would put a wrinkle in everything. So, if you're going to worry about something, worry about Georgia showing up on senior day, which is always weird as far as atmosphere is concerned, as far as getting your juices flowing is concerned. Worry about the Dogs showing up and finishing the season the way they are supposed to. Heaven forbid the first thing I told you to worry about happens between now and then, and somebody gets hurt and the Dogs are heading into that game even more depleted than they are now. This one is one you better be ready for, both as fans and as players. The threat that Georgia Tech poses to the Georgia Bulldogs this year is very real. Again, I think Georgia beats Georgia Tech. I think that they probably beat them by double digits. But I'm just telling you, that's a game to that squad that you do not want to lose. That is not the way you want to be spending Black Friday after a day that we just spent our time being all thankful for everything. So that's the three things that we should be worried about as Georgia fans. I told you there are three things that you should not be worried about. Those look like this. Carson Beck. This is a space where we do not deal in talking points. We generally don't offer hot takes. We generally are trying to keep things between the ditches, right? We're trying to shoot you straight. And I have been saying and trying to offer many, many reasons why it was the case that Carson Beck is not the problem. Has he been perfect? No. Did he need to play better? Absolutely. But Carson Beck was never the problem. That was a talking point around college football all last year, last week, inside the SEC as well as nationally. What is wrong with Carson Beck? The answer is nothing. It's not me telling you that. I don't care what your lying eyes are showing you. Kirby Smart was telling you he's been the same guy that he's always been, and they are happy with him. I sat here and said, it's everything around him that's adding to his anxiety, his lack of performance. He's putting pressure on himself. You've heard me say this. Lo and behold, Tennessee happens. The offensive line comes together. The pocket's clean. And Carson Beck throws for 3.5 bills. A couple of touchdowns, The Dogs roll, and that offense looks like the offense that I told you I thought we were going to see in the early part of the year. And then all that other stuff I mentioned happened. The injuries, the defections, right? Here we are at the end of the year, though, and things appear to be coming back together. The thing you don't have to worry about is Carson Beck, because when everybody else showed up and helped him, he looked like the same dude that we had seen. That's why I think you guys come here, is because I try to give it to you the way I see it, honestly. And it's really nice when the game results show up and back up the sort of stuff we're talking about. Carson Beck was never the problem. As you can see here, when he had time against Tennessee, because that offensive line was playing well, he looks just as good as he looked last season. When he cut it loose and decided to play free and have a good time, just have fun, you saw him have the confidence to make the plays down the field that we know he can make. And last week, I sat right here and told you he has to work on his feet inside the pocket. He has to play better inside the pocket and stop running out of there when he has nowhere to go, or for no reason to go outside the pocket. Look at this video. That's exactly what's happening. Watch him. He'll take the snap, 1-2, ball out, boom, right into a tight window. 1-2, laser, right into a tight window. On the move, laser to a receiver that's open. Layering a throw into the end zone, touchdown. Carson Beck is not and was never the problem. He just needed some people around him to help him out. I, for one, am super happy to see it. And going back to the offensive line for just a second, this was the first time all year that the Dogs did not rotate offensive linemen. And Kirby said that he was nervous about that. But in retrospect, when you understand what happened on the field against one of the best defenses in the country last week, you have to say, well, maybe we should reevaluate what it is we're doing. Because when you put the same five out there, and come hell or high water, that's who you're going to play with until they can't play anymore. You give them an opportunity to, and this is a word I used last week, gel. You give them the opportunity to communicate in the game against what they're seeing in front of them and be consistent in the voices that they're hearing. Think about what you saw from this offensive line unit against Tennessee. And then think about what you've seen the rest of the year. And you tell me which way you're going to go if you're making the call moving forward. Are we going to go back to rotating players just because? Or are we going to pick our five, stand in there, and go to battle? I know which way I feel about it. The results tell me the way I should feel about it. I understand if you get a guy back and one guy outperforms another guy and he deserves to start, that's fine. Just give me those same guys for the entire game. Let's not roll it over just because we can. That's what I would say about that. Carson Beck and the Dogs are figuring it out. But it's just like I said, he is not the problem. When everybody else shows up and does their job, it gives him an opportunity to do his. He's one of those guys that you hear about college football quarterbacks all the time and how you can be a national championship winning college football quarterback and not necessarily be an NFL success. Then you have guys who never win anything in college, never really do anything of consequence other than put up statistics because they're in their system that shows their skills. And then they go to the NFL and they become MVPs, they become Super Bowl winners, they become Hall of Famers. There is a very real discussion going on right now about which one of those dudes Carson Beck is. Because when you see that he gets some help around him, when you see that he feels good in the game, he's playing with confidence, he looks like a fantastic college quarterback that then will project to be a really good NFL quarterback. But when you look at what's happened to him over the course of the year and how he's handled everything, you could say, well, maybe he's really not that great of a college football quarterback because of a myriad of things, yet everything about him screams NFL prototype. And then he goes on to have a wonderful NFL career. I'm not really sure. Honestly, I would have, before the season started, been in the first boat saying he's a really good college football quarterback who does really good at NFL things because he plays in the system at the University of Georgia that allows him to show his skill set, which is something that most people across the country do not get to do when you're talking about quarterbacks. But Carson has shown you that he can do it because of what Georgia asks of him. And that only projects to the fact that he should then be a high NFL draft pick and then successful in the NFL. I'm not really here to try to argue one way or the other. You can make up your own mind. But if he's on his game and he's playing well and the people around him are playing well, then you have to think that the odds are pretty good that he's going to look like a pretty good college football quarterback. When players like Arian Smith and the other wide receivers are making plays for him, Carson Beck looks as good as any quarterback in the country. That's the bottom line. When Carson does the basic things as far as playing quarterback that he knows how to do because he trusts his offensive line, Carson looks great. It was never Carson Beck. Carson Beck was never the thing that Georgia fans had to worry about. They have to worry about how everything comes together, which is what Kirby Smart has been trying to tell us the entire season. So Carson Beck, not something we have to be worried about. Here's something else we don't have to be worried about right now, and that is the week-over-week college football playoff rankings. Now, I know I talked about them a little bit earlier because you got to have a little fun with it when you see them. If you don't, if you take it so seriously, you're going to blow a gasket because, frankly, it just does not make sense to me in a lot of ways how this thing looks the way it looks right now. But that's why you can't worry about it week over week. We know that it's going to change come next Tuesday because there's going to be more games played. Teams are going to play each other, so on and so forth. We shouldn't worry about it right now. It is a lot of fun to look at and discuss and debate for when you're people like me who have this to do. But as far as real concern, Georgia Bulldog fans should not be worried about the college football rankings today. That doesn't mean that they don't have something to be concerned about as far as where it might end up, where the committee lands Georgia in that final week. That's a concern. But hopefully everything will play itself out in such a way that Georgia can move on up there a little bit and get into a better seeding, therefore hopefully giving them a better path. Of course, the way everything's looked with the committee so far, that may not be the case at all, and Georgia may end up with, believe it or not, the toughest college football playoff path when the final rankings come out. So we'll see. The third thing that you don't have to worry about if you're a Georgia Bulldogs fan is whether or not this team is made for this. They've shown us over and over and over that they are, in fact, physical. They are, in fact, a team that will not quit. They are resilient, and that they are battle-tested. They are built for this. There was a lot of question coming off that Ole Miss game whether or not that was true. Everything about this program is being questioned, but watch this video here on the screen that we're looking at now. That is Dylan Fairchild at offensive guard. Look what he does to that Tennessee defensive lineman. Gravedigger. Puts him on skates, plants him 5-6 yards down the field. The physicality for this team was always there. It's still there. But going back to what I said about get these dudes on the field together, let them work, and let's see what can happen. Keep the same unit on the field. It's a beautiful thing to watch. He wasn't the only one doing work, though. Jared Wilson at the center, check him out here. Pulling out on the toss sweep, grabs a cornerback, and oh my goodness, one hands that man to the ground. Body slam. Looks kind of like a choke slam. The physicality for this group is there. They just have to have the opportunity to get behind their pads, get lathered up, and go to work. And we're seeing that in the play calling. We're seeing that in the evolution of this offense. And it is a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. So like I said, 3 things that you should be worried about as a Georgia Bulldogs fan. You should be worried about those injuries. They need to stay healthy, get healthy, if they're actually going to be able to make the kind of run that we all hope that they can make this year. We need to worry about those freshmen that are going to be playing for Georgia the rest of the way. Not worried that they're going to make a mistake, but worried that they're actually out there getting good reps against teams like UMASS here late in the year. This is a week where we would expect a lot of players to play. The starters need to get out there, handle their business, get off the field, have a good half. Nobody gets hurt. Let those young kids play, get that experience, and get them ready for the reps that they're going to have to take the rest of the way. So be worried if you don't see them on the field in the second half against UMass. That's a concern. We want to get that game under control, get those kids out there, and let them play. One of the other things you have to be concerned about right now is Georgia Tech. That's a dangerous football team out there, and the Dogs are better, and they should win. But it is senior night. Emotions run crazy in a game like that, especially when it's Tech. Clean, old-fashioned hate is a real thing. Georgia better be careful and handle their business. Things Dogs fans do not have to worry about moving forward is Carson Beck. I think he has hit a turning point with this team. He looked like a different player against Tennessee on Saturday night in that he appeared to be like, I'm dropping all the baggage. We're stepping forward. I'm cutting it loose. I'm playing free. I'm having fun. That is the best version of Carson Beck. And as long as his teammates come along with him, he and the Dogs are going to be fine offensively moving forward. And they're going to look a lot more like that team that we all thought we were going to see heading into the season. And as people return from injury, you'd have to think that that's only going to make that unit better moving forward. And the final thing you don't have to worry about as a Georgia Bulldog fan is, regardless of what you've seen on the road in a tough environment against an Ole Miss team that is quite talented, regardless of what you saw on the road against a Kentucky team, this Georgia Bulldogs team, they are physical. They can be nasty. One thing's for certain, they are battle-tested. No team has played a tougher schedule than the University of Georgia this year. Think about any other team in the land, especially any team outside the SEC. Think about what their schedules might look like if they would play the schedule that Georgia played so far. Is that the end-all, be-all of how good a team is? No. The way you perform has to be a part of that discussion. But as I've sat here and said time and time again this year, when the money was on the table and it was winning time for Georgia, they have shown us again and again that they have what it takes to make the plays necessary to win games when it's there to be had. As Nick Saban said this week, they have the heart of a champion. And then they went out and showed that against Tennessee. That has to make you feel good as a Georgia fan. If you take everything that you believe in your bones about this team, and then you hear a voice like Nick Saban say, yep, that's a team that can go win the whole thing, you have to feel good about that. Doesn't mean that they will, but you have to feel good about their chances once they get into the dance. And you have to be honest with yourself and say, how many teams out there would want to play a Georgia team in a one-game season with everything on the line? I feel pretty good about taking the Bulldogs in that situation. And I think most people would be right there with me. We also have podcasts, an audio podcast. This is the video version. I love having you guys here with me on YouTube every week for the live streams, but we also have an audio version. I would love it if you would head on over there and rate and review the podcast wherever you get them. It would help us out a lot, and I really, really appreciate that. You guys are the very best, and I know you can help us out over there as well. And here on YouTube, we're still trying to make our way to 10K. The only way we can do that is if you guys like the videos, interact, subscribe to the channel, share them with your friends. Every time you do that, it is doing something for me that I will truly never be able to say thank you enough for, but I'm going to try anyway. Thank you. I appreciate your support. There's also a newsletter. If you look down in the description below, it's free. Sign up for it. You won't miss out on some cool stuff that I hope to be able to share with you soon. You're going to find out about it there first in the newsletter. Go on down there, sign up for it. I promise you, you will not get spam from me. That's just not how I get down. And then, of course, we have that SEC Powers Hour that we're going to be here tomorrow night, a little different time. I'll announce that a little bit later, so watch this space. And we're going to have our show where we pick all the games here inside the SEC. It's always a lot of fun. And I hope that we will see you there tomorrow night because it will be a good time. But again, watch this space, a different start time tomorrow. I will announce that soon. And of course, as always, I want to say thank you to our channel members. They go above and beyond just subscribing to the channel. And if you would like to do that, it's very simple. There's a link in the description below. Just click that link. It'll show you how to become a member of the channel. And we would love to have you join the party. The water's warm. Come on in. So there you have it. Those are the 3 things that you should worry about if you're a Georgia Bulldogs fan, and the 3 things that you shouldn't. We're keeping the main thing here. As always, I hope that you will please take advantage of the opportunity to rate and review the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Double check, make sure you're subscribed here on the channel. That helps us out immensely to get the word out to every dog fan that you know, I know, and Dog Nation as a whole. Double check, turn on notifications, make sure you're subscribed. And I hope that you can sit back and enjoy the games. Georgia is playing a game this week where we should see a lot of those young players get into the game. That's going to be a lot of fun because, again, in this longer college football playoff season, it's about having quality depth with players that can play winning football week after week. And it's games like this, especially late in the year, where we get to see those guys flash their talents, put it on display, and get some game experience should they be needed down the stretch. That's what I'm looking forward this weekend against the UMASS Minutemen, and it's something to keep an eye on. Georgia, go out there, handle your business, get those young dudes on the field. Let's see what you can do a little bit, have a little fun before we wind down the season with Georgia Tech and clean old-fashioned hate on Black Friday at night under the lights. It's going to be a lot of fun. Until we get there, you guys take care of yourselves, take care of your friends, take care of your families, take care of each other, and go Dogs! All right, everybody. Bear with me here while I get a quick drink. We got a few minutes here. We finished early. There wasn't, with UMass coming up, there's only so many different ways that you can say, enjoy the UMass game. And I was serious about what I said. It's going to be a great game because we're going to get to see, hopefully, a lot of those younger players that are so close to making an impact for Georgia on a scrimmage snap that's not a special team snap, so maybe we'll get to spot them a little bit easier. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. But we do have a few minutes here for overtime because we finished a little bit earlier in case anybody's interested. And if not, we can move along and wind it down. But I do want to say, since we're here in overtime, that I am excited about Thanksgiving. I hope you guys are too. It's coming up next week. Whatever that day means for you, I hope that you have an opportunity to take advantage of that time, especially if you have a little time off, get to be with the people that you care about. I hope that happens for you, and you make you really enjoy that time. But real quick, let's see if I can do it right here. Let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna try something new, guys. Hang in here with me. I'm going to, if I can do it, if I can figure out how to do it. I'm going to put something in the, let's see, here we go. I'm going to set this up right here. Drop a poll in the chat here, and then that way you guys can just answer the poll. All right, so here we go. New chat in the poll. Going to start it right now. And if you will, take a second and answer this chat or answer this question, this poll that's in the chat here, because Thanksgiving does fall on a Thursday, and you guys know we do a show here every Thursday, that SEC Powers Hour. So would you guys be interested in showing up for a live stream on Thanksgiving night, or do you think we ought to take that day off and just participate or enjoy being around family and doing those sorts of things? So it's one of those things that I don't know. It's weird. I'm sort of two minds about it, because in years past we have an early Thanksgiving dinner and then we just spend the rest of the day doing fun stuff, whether it's watching football or movies or playing games or whatever it is. So that's generally how we do it, and we just go until things kind of fall off, till things slow down. People want to go home. That's fine. This year, it's feeling like it's going to be a little different. I don't know that we're going to have a whole lot going on late into Thanksgiving evening. So, and I know that Mrs. Beast has some stuff she has to take care of early in the day. So, on Friday. So I know she's not going to want to be up late. So it could be a situation where I'm twiddling my thumbs here Thursday or Thanksgiving evening, late into the evening, about doing a show. And if need be, we could push it back a little bit or something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe start it at 8 o'clock or something like that to give everybody an opportunity to have a later Thanksgiving dinner. But it's just something I wanted to drop in there and see how you guys feel about it. For some reason, I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Well, so far, everybody's all about it. Okay. Well, we'll see. I have to, and to be completely honest with you, I have to check in with Joe, see how he feels about it, because that is the SEC Powers Hour. But if he were out for some reason, I might be able to come up with a special guest who could sit in and do that show with me if Joe didn't want to be a part of it that night for whatever reason. But I don't know that. Joe's probably fine with it, but I haven't talked to him about it yet. So let's see here. You guys are being so kind and adding some things here in the chat. I appreciate it. So let's see. Carol says, we're family here also. Man, I appreciate that. That's awesome, Carol. Thank you. That's what we want on this channel. And Ransom, good to see you, brother. He's in here letting us know you are family. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And Tim, as always, in here with us. Go for it. I'm here either way. Sounds awesome to me. Jeremy's in here. 8 p.m. sounds like a perfect time. Okay. Well, I will embrace him. Says do both. The more the better, right? The more the better. And that's the thing, though. I know that there's games on Friday night. I don't think that there are games Thursday night. There's the NFL, in the afternoon, but I don't think there's anything in the evening. So that's one of those things. That's another reason I was considering it. I was thinking it might be a whole lot of fun to do a live stream on that time too. So, and it looks like, I don't know how many people were in here for the live show. It looks like we still have almost 20 with us here now, and we almost have that many likes. So you guys know how I feel about likes. I'm of the opinion that I'm just trying to earn your, a thumbs up or whatever. I don't like for people to feel obligated. If you come in and you don't like the show, then I would feel awful for sitting here asking you to hit the thumbs up, right? But if you enjoy the show, then, man, I dig that. I hope you will consider giving us a thumbs up, a subscription, so on and so forth, because I just want to earn it. I only want to be worthy, because people talk about having a community here, and you guys are talking about it in the chat, and that makes me feel great, because what you don't really want is to have a bunch of people who follow your channel but don't interact. Right. And I don't really have that, because whether it's on the community page or in the comments on videos that we drop, we get a lot of interaction, and I really appreciate that. So I really do appreciate it when I hear you guys talk about it and say, this is a community. We feel good here, because that's what this channel, I want it to be. That's what I want it to be. I don't want it to be a place where everybody's, yelling, screaming, arguing, and stuff like that. And so the thing I always like to say is everybody's welcome until you're not. And the way you're not is if you're disruptive, being hateful to other people in chat and stuff like that. But you guys don't do that. And the mods that we have on the channel do a good job of trying to keep everything under control. And as always, I appreciate that. And I am thankful, see what I did there? For you guys being willing to take that on and do that. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So Jeremy's letting us know there are a couple of games, and Carol mentioned the Egg Bowl. See, I couldn't remember if the Egg Bowl was Thursday night or if it was Friday. Okay, so if it's Thursday night, then that's fine. I mean, I love the Egg Bowl, but we could jump on here, get through our picks, and have a good time, have the game on, comment on it. Be a free for all, because that Thursday night show is comment heavy anyway. So if you guys decided to show up, it's different than taping the podcast, right? It just comes together differently. Like it's a different sort of show. So that sounds like it'd be good. Oh man, Carol, thanks. I appreciate that. Well, you guys, I hope I'm thankful for you for being here with us. Post-game reaction after tech. That's interesting. I've never done that because generally I have to work. As a sports journalist, generally I have to I'm working when the Dogs are playing. You know what I mean? It's rare that I have an opportunity to not be working. As it sits right now, Black Friday for us is looking like we're going to head up to Helen here in Georgia, because we've been up there a lot and we've been up there during the holidays, but it's one of those situations where we've never actually been there for the tree lighting when it happens. So we wanted to take the girls up there on Black Friday afternoon for that. And then once things started to, wind down, we weren't going to keep them up there too late. We were going to come back home and watch the game. So it's completely possible that I could do a reaction show after the Georgia Tech game. That is a really good suggestion, Jeremy, because honestly, I hadn't given it any thought. So if people would show up, because there's a lot of post-game reaction shows out there, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying it would have to be a really long post-game reaction show, but I might be able to jump on here and go live and do something. Maybe we should do that just for channel members. I don't know. We'll have to see. Because that sounds like fun. That's a good idea. I appreciate that suggestion, Jeremy. I appreciate that suggestion. Yep, Carol keeps everybody straight. Now, okay, Daniel, let's see. What are you saying here? I guess you'd like it if Auburn ruined Alabama's playoff hopes. Helps. Well, I'll say this. I really do hope that game is fun and interesting. I think that, the game is at Alabama. So that if it were at Jordan-Hare, I'd be more confident that it would be a really close game. Or weird stuff happens. Being in Alabama, I don't know how that's going to go. Honestly, I guess it's weird, Daniel, because I haven't, like I talked about it in the podcast, I haven't given that much in-depth thought to the whole college football playoff thing. There is an opportunity that Georgia could catch the screws a little bit, because if they win out and there's not a lot of movement in front of them as it is right now, then they could find themselves in like an 8 or a 9 seed, which would mean they would have to play they'd have to go obviously on the road for the first game. And then they'd have to play probably the 1 seed ultimately. So they'd have to play a conference champion, and then they'd probably get the 1 seed if they were sitting at the 9. So it could really put the screws to Georgia that way, So yeah, in that respect, I'm guessing that if Auburn could beat Alabama and get them out of the way, well, sure, why not? And I know if Herb and Rod are in here, they won't like to hear me say that. But the truth is, it's all fair in love and war, right? So if it helps my team, then I have to say too bad for your team. But y'all know how that's just how it goes. That's how I feel about it. So you guys are awesome. I'm trying to scroll through these things here on the chat here. This is great. Game reaction in real time if you guys would want to have a Friday night post-game discussion. Yeah. Well, like I said, Jeremy, there are a lot of people who, do post-game shows. I'll jump on them a few times. And that's another thing this is not for nothing. I don't know if you guys watch the UGAsports.com stuff, if you follow their page, if you're members over there or any of that. But Roddy's a buddy of mine, and I did some work with him this summer, out at SEC Media Days. If you would like me to be a part of that team, to do more with that team, then let Roddy know. Like, hit them up on Twitter or, whatever in the YouTube chat. Let them know that you'd like me to be a part of what they do. That's, when I worked with them this summer, it was cool because there was feedback in the chat, that Randy did a good job, a nice addition, a different perspective, all that stuff. So if you guys mess around with UGAsports.com and you like their content, which is where I would send you generally for post-game reaction, would be to their post-game overreaction show. If you'd like to see me be a part of that more officially, then let them know. I would appreciate that because, they're only going to do what people want to see. So if you guys are interested in that, I think that'd be cool. Hey, Scotty, it's good to see you in here, buddy. Jeremy, how did you have no idea that Joe and I were brothers? We don't look alike? You don't think so? That's all right. Yeah. Been that way for a long time, several decades now. Joe's a good dude. Yeah, we have different personalities for sure, but we do have a good time. We have a good time. I appreciate you guys hanging out here for overtime. It looks like, maybe I should have put the poll up there earlier. There's 28 people, 29 people watching now. And if you're over here on YouTube, jump in here and answer this poll because this is something that we're doing on the fly that I just tossed out there to everybody. Should we do a live stream on Thanksgiving night? And so far, the results are 100% positive. So if you're in here, I would love to hear your opinion. I would love to know because it is something that we have the opportunity to do. This is going to be fun, and I really hope to be able to do a lot of stuff for you guys. I can break a little news for you here right now. I have a lot, we're all busy. I have a lot going on, but I have arranged it to where I have 3 weeks consecutively off from my sports job, my sports journalism job, starting on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So starting next Wednesday, I'm off for 3 straight weeks. And that means that I will be available to do a lot more stuff here. Which brings me back to that point of if you would like to see me involved with other entities, let them know because I have some availability. So I could go add to their content, their broadcasts, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that means I'm going to be able to do more stuff over here on the channel. There may be pop-up lives. There may be Ask Me Anythings. There may be more reaction videos. There may be discussion videos. There may be free-for-all in the comments. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff that we could do. So I really hope to be able to take advantage of that, and we will see. It is holiday season. I am a dad first always. So if there's ever some conflict, the girls are going to get my attention. That's what I'm going to do first. But if I can make it happen over here with you guys, because again, of the way you support the channel and the way that I genuinely feel awesome that you're here, then I want to do that. And I want to be able to have a good time with you and talk about Georgia stuff because it's about to get crazy. Like, let's just think about the fact that if Georgia wins out, right, that allows them to finish at 10-2. At that point, with the wins that they have, the strength of schedule, there's no way they're not going to be in the playoff. And it all comes down to seeding. Well, once the thing is seeded, then we have a couple weeks to discuss the seeding and looking ahead to the matchup, right? The path forward, all of that kind of stuff, which sounds really cool. But think about what else is going on right there. You also have National Signing Day, which at this point could end up being the last National Signing Day that ever actually means anything. So there's that going on. And then you're going to have the transfer portal, which is going to be going crazy right at the same time. So it is going to be content rich material once we are past Championship Saturday, right? There's going to be so much to talk about. And I'm just hopeful that I can deliver as much of the stuff as I actually want to deliver. It's going to be pretty interesting. And watch this space, watch the community page, watch the socials, because that's where I will be letting you know if something like an Ask Me Anything or any of that's coming up, right? To give you an opportunity to send in your questions or come on here and we can talk about it live, whatever you want to do. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's in front of us that I feel really good about. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. See, and Jeremy's on it right here. This is what it's about, because that what's on your Thanksgiving plate or how you cook your that sounds like fun. We could do all that stuff. By the way, I love Thanksgiving. I love to cook. It's a lot of fun. And my family loves it. It's a whole day thing for us, like it is for most families. You know, we wake up, we do cinnamon roll turkeys with the girls in the morning where they get to build their own, which is awesome. If you don't know about that, let me know. I'll explain it to you. But if you follow in the socials, I always share how that goes. So that's a fun thing. And then we get right into, you know, we have like a mid-afternoon meal, and then we're going from there. But getting ready to do the turkey, I take great pride in my turkey. I roast my turkey, and there's a key to the way I do it, that it is always, I say always, knocking on wood, without fail, for the last 20 years, it has been the benchmark turkey. Like, it's always the best that anybody's ever had. That's always the feedback I get. So I love me some Turkey Day. I love everything about it. I love the process. I love the family. I love the fun. I love all of it. So I really do hope that you enjoy it. So if things go the way they're supposed to go, then I do show up here for a live stream on Thanksgiving night. I should be fat, full, and in a good mood, right? Because that means that we've had some good stuff. So it's good, man. It's good. And what's on your plate? We are actually in the process of putting together our menu right now. Do you guys do that? We open it up to the girls because, like I said, they love everything about it too. You know, they love, and I'm so thankful for that. We've been able to bring them up in a way that they appreciate the holiday, and not the generic, yeah, I'm thankful, but like they love all the little parts. They love the cinnamon roll turkeys in the morning. They love the way we prep. They just love it all. And so part of that process is we're putting together the menu right now. So the girls are like, oh, I remember we had this dish. And so we're putting that together. It's going to be a lot of fun. When I get off here tonight, that's one of the things I'm going to do is talk to them again about the menu. So I hope you guys are enjoying it too, because the thing to remember about the holidays, everybody, is that it's not about whether or not the turkey's perfect. It's not about whether everything hits the table at the right time or dinner starts when it's supposed to or whatever. No, whatever. Enjoy it. If you want to do it fancy and that makes you happy, do it. If you don't, do that too. But whatever it is, it's the process, man. It's just like football in my point of view. It's about the process, because our lives are made up of those moments, those little moments that you have 100 times a day. Those are the things that make it cool. Those are the things that you remember, you know. I'm proud of my turkey, right? I am. I'm proud of Mrs. Beast and all the dishes that are her traditional family dishes. Love them. But that's not what it's about. It's about all that other stuff. And having children, I knew that anyway. But having children and watching them grow over the last 9 years, that just drives that point home, because it is about all those other things. And I'm tickled pink every time I have an opportunity, which is why the time off for me is so important, because I get to do all those things around the holiday season, right? It's not just Thanksgiving. It's not just Christmas. It's not just Yule. It's not just any of those things. It's all of it. It's just the season of celebration. And I love having the time to do all those sorts of things. So again, That's always going to be first. But at this point in my life, this is pretty much second as far as what gets prioritized when we are making a decision. Because speaking of being thankful, it seems like I should do a whole video on this whole thing and just lay it out for everybody. But speaking of being thankful, this is something that I'm super thankful for, not only because of this and the people and the process and the creative outlet that it provides for me, but I am so very thankful that I am fortunate enough to have people in my life, Mrs. Beast, my girls, who not only put up with me doing this, but do any and everything they can do to help me realize that this is a priority and make it that, and then make it the very best it can be. Think about that, people. Think about that. You hear, I'm sure we all probably, I don't want to make too many assumptions here, but I've seen, if you're on social media anywhere, okay, but especially on like Facebook or Instagram, I know you see these things where people are out there saying some inspirational something or other, you know, and it seems to fit what you're doing. And they say, well, it's, if you want to surround yourself with good people, you want to keep your circle small, or, you know, something along those lines. You cannot say it enough how much it means that people who want to see you succeed and who share your vision and who believe in the things that you believe in are there to support you. Like, it is, you cannot put a price on that ever. And so when we're talking about a holiday like Thanksgiving, where we're thankful for things, there's nothing that I am more thankful for than the support system that I have that's involved with this channel. So when I come to you this way, I hope you guys, I want you to know that it's not just me. I'm here because Mrs. Beast has done her part to help me. My daughters have done their part to help me. You would giggle and laugh at how much I say that, and you think I'm just saying it. I'm not. Every thumbnail for a video on YouTube, my girls, they get part of quality control. They get to give me their opinion. This is good. This is bad. This should look that way. This should look this way, right? Topics. Mrs. Beast, right there with me. She's helping me sort through topics and how to put a perspective on whatever it is we're talking about that's a little bit different than maybe your run-of-the-mill Georgia Bulldog fan or YouTube channel here. It's not, and I'm not saying that to say that every time we put something out here for you, it's better than anything you've ever seen. I'm just saying that we try really hard to make it different, and it's a family affair. And I just can't say how grateful I am for those people that help make that happen for me. And you guys, again, how many times, like Jeremy just did tonight, have made suggestions or pitched ideas or brought something to my attention that maybe I hadn't thought of that ultimately turns out to be an event that we all can share in and enjoy. That's what it's about, y'all. That's what it's about. Like, just me talking right there, I just said it out loud. I should make a note, make a video for the things I'm thankful for as a Georgia Bulldogs football content creator and YouTube channel, owner, right? Like, that's content. That's a cool video. Or maybe it's not. You guys can tell me in real time right now, that's the dullest, sappiest thing I've ever heard. Maybe it's not good content. I don't know. But you see how the ideas just come, right? So anyways, Carol, Herbert Raj, Tim, anybody else who's still hanging in here with me? I'm going back through Jeremy, Tim. Let's see. I got Tim in there. Scotty, if you're still here. Daniel, I appreciate you being here as an Auburn man. I appreciate that. Ransom, Brayson. I don't want to miss anybody, but just guys, thank you. Seriously, thank you so much, because it's just, it's cool. It's cool. All right, guys, we made it to the top of the hour. That's about 20 minutes of overtime right there. Whoa, I hit the wrong button. That's about 20 minutes of overtime right there. So I hope that you've enjoyed hanging out with me. I certainly appreciate it because it's in overtime where I go off script and you learn stuff about me and so on and so forth. Still 100% on the Thanksgiving night live stream. Okay. Well, I'm going to make sure that I talk to Joe and see how he feels about that, if he's available. And even if he is available, I might still reach out to some friends and be like, you know what? Let's do something. You looking for extra activity on Thanksgiving night? Come on down to the SEC Powers Hour. We'll talk about that. You know what I mean? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with me. Y'all know I appreciate it. I love you. I appreciate you being here. It really does. It means so very much. And I appreciate it. Until next time, y'all take care of yourselves, take care of your friends, your families. Don't forget to thaw your bird if you're having turkey for Thanksgiving. Don't forget. It's important. And also, go get those cranberries, right? Make sure you've got the thyme and the oregano, all that stuff, whatever you need, go get it. Now's the time. Public service announcement. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving day. If you want to know about what cinnamon roll turkeys are, hit me up. Let me know. I will happily share. You guys take care of yourselves. Seriously, take care of your friends, family. Take care of each other. And as always, go Dogs!